What the program is, it's called Safely Back Home. It's a program that was created for families who have family members who tend to wander. And it could be whether they have autism, whether they have autism if their children or adults, whether they have Alzheimer's, dementia, but it's especially for people who wander. Not only that they wander, but their mindset is they can't say who they are or where they live. And so when they wander and get lost, and they have no identification on them, it becomes an issue trying to figure out who these people are. And I'll explain, it started with my own father, that's how I got into this whole thing, and I'll explain that in a minute or two. Just to give you a perspective on what we're talking about now, especially in New Jersey, you probably have heard all about this, that autism, New Jersey is the state with the highest rate of autism for some reason in the country. It's 1 out of 41 children, and the numbers skyrocketed up to 1 out of 28 boys as of right now. So it's mostly boys that have it. And then the catch on this is 50% of the kids with autism are prone to wander. Not only prone, they will wander. They'll bolt, they'll elope, they'll take off. Whether it's when they're in school, whether it's when they're at home, whether it's when they're at the store or something, they have this urge to want to run. And they have no sense of danger. The scary part is a lot of these boys and children are drawn to water. So they will go to a lake, to a pool, something like that, and sadly several drown each year due to wandering, becoming lost. And what happens is they have no sense of danger. And so each night, each day with the parents, when the kids are in school, they have security, for the most part. But when they're home, the parents actually have to go into lockdown. I've learned all about this. They have to lock down their house to prevent the kids from escaping. And the kids are very clever and ingenious in how to get out. So the situation with parents with kids with autism is it's an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing concern and anxiety that the kid may wander. Usually they're found right away, but it can become a tragic situation as well. With Alzheimer's and dementia, with people who are older, these are people who also, it's 6 out of 10 people with Alzheimer's will wander. That's the Alzheimer's Association number. And they chronically wander. They don't get as far or as fast, but the same thing, they have no sense of danger, and they have no sense it's extremely cold out, extremely hot out, and there's a 48-hour window. You're probably aware of it. It's a 48-hour window. If you don't find this senior or this child within 48 hours, the consequences are usually bad. And with the seniors, it can just be exposure to the elements. They can fall into a ditch, whatever it is. What we're doing is the programs now run through each individual police department. It's a free program. We started it in Bergen County. The only reason we started in Bergen County is I was invited to speak to the same type meeting in Bergen County last summer, the Bergen County Chiefs, and explained what the program was, and we got an excellent response. That was in the summer. We have now 6 police departments: New Milford, Dumont, Rutherford, Garfield, Mawa, and I'm leaving one out, who are running this program for their communities. And it's expanding. I was gone most of the winter. I have a little painting business, that's what I do for a living right now, and so I wasn't in the area. Came back in April, and now we're putting things back on track. And I'm dedicating myself to Safely Back Home right now. So so we introduced the Bergen County Chiefs last summer. Ryan, if you let me know when I've gone like 10 minutes, I'd appreciate it. Quick background on the program. I've lived in Frieden for 24 years, and my father lived in East Brunswick. He was 84, had his own business, electrical engineer, worked every day of his life in South Amboy, and one day he was driving either to or from work. He got disoriented and drove back home, and that was the last day he worked, and he knew exactly what was happening to him. That was the scary part. He had dementia, form of Alzheimer's. And so what happened is I visited him on weekends. I decided I would, and my brother and sister became his caregivers. They moved into the house, took care of him in East Brunswick. I visited him weekends, I did my homework, read about Alzheimer's, and one of the things that would happen is that they will wander. 6 out of 10 will wander, so I expected my dad would wander. My brother was a great caregiver. He took him out all the time. There were parks. He could walk from the house to a park, walk around the block, take him to stores, because we were told to keep him physically active, which was good. My concern was, as my dad's condition deteriorated, once he got to the point where he could not say who he was or where he lived, if he did wander and get lost, what would happen? And the best case scenario would be someone would see him, they try and help him, they call 911, and he'd be brought to the police station. That would be the best scenario. The problem, though, is once he got to the police station, he couldn't say who he was. The police department would have no way of knowing who he was because he had no ID on him. And it would take hours, maybe even longer, before we could be contacted. So I came up with a very simple solution. I researched all the wandering programs that were available. Alzheimer's Association, Project Lifesaver, others, they all require that you wear a bracelet of some sort, either an ID bracelet or a tracking device. And we knew my father wouldn't wear it. So I came up with a very simple solution. My brother was his main caregiver. I printed my brother's cell phone number on his shirt. I used a little iron-on transfer, printed the phone number, so if somebody found him, whether it was police or someone else, they could call my brother, and we'd be able to rescue it. My brother shared this with his support group at Alzheimer's Caregivers. I spoke to them, or to the director and others. They encouraged me to keep going. It was great. I kept changing it. I did things very wrong. I had pictures of people and names completely wrong. It was explained to me, keep it the least amount of information as possible. I met with the New Jersey State Police in Augusta there to get their feedback. They encouraged me. That's when I met Ray Rafferty at his location there in Byram. I spoke to him. He encouraged me to keep going with it. And now I'm just going to speed ahead real quick. I started out with dementia for my dad, but I learned about autism through these different people I met with. And that autism, it's a bad problem is with Alzheimer's. So in 2014, again, just skipping ahead quickly, I met with Project Lifesaver founder Chief Saunders. Project Lifesaver's been around since 1999. They use LoJack tracking devices. You wear it as a bracelet, sends out it's a transmitter, radio transmitter, sends out a signal 24 hours a day. The sheriff's departments have receivers. Every sheriff's department in Jersey has the Project Lifesaver program, and they've rescued over 3,000 people already. I explained to the chief my idea of doing something that's visual on clothing, where we can include the Project Lifesaver phone number, which is the sheriff's department, and an ID number. And he responded to it well. We had a 2-hour talk. He spoke to his operations people in Virginia. And basically we signed an agreement that year, 2014, to become partners. And so that's a huge honor for me. I'm a one-man show. But they saw value in the idea that, okay, people are wearing the bracelets, but there is a limitation. That signal is only good for 1 to 2 miles. If they're outside of that signal range, if the battery's low, if they're not wearing it, at least there's something. There's an imprint that people would call the sheriff's department, give the ID number, that person could be rescued. There's a cost for the Project Lifesaver program, though. It's about $350. Mike, is that about right? About $350 for the unit, and about $15 a month for maintenance. It's subsidized.
Also waive that.
Yes, it gets subsidized very often, covered. But I wanted the program to be open to anybody. In New Jersey, there's about 2,000 families on Project Lifesaver, about 50,000 nationally. But there's about 8 million people who combine Alzheimer's, autism. But just locally, I wanted it to be open to people, not limited to wearing the bracelets. I think we have about 24 here in Sussex County, maybe about 120 in Morris County. So anyway, Project Lifesaver, again, Project Lifesaver is a 501c3 nonprofit. I'm partners with that. This Thursday, I finally get to file to become a nonprofit. And there's a law firm in New Rochelle who's doing it pro bono, no charge to me. So I'll be a nonprofit, which is something I've wanted to do for a long time. So last fall, we started going through the local police departments. Ryan, are we at 10 minutes yet?
We are 2 minutes away from 10 minutes.
Okay, so last fall, we started offering the program to local police departments. I made the presentation to the Bergen County police chiefs, and it went well. And so we have, so it followed through quickly. And we have 6 police departments, like I was mentioning. The last one was Rutherford this past June. But we've also had interest from I hope to make the presentations in Morris County, Essex, and Monmouth soon. And then I did meet with some officials in Newark, the city of Newark, and when I was working down south in Atlanta, I met with the Atlanta Police Department. They're both interested in it. They just have to go through a much longer process versus the local police department. The way this is how it works. If you can take a look at the shirts that I passed out, please. The flyers that I have there talk about the programs. But if you look at the shirt, this is how it works. It's very simple. Everything goes through the police department. And by the way, I used, Chief Richards, I've never met you, so I don't know where to look if you're here. Oh, Chief Richards, okay. But I took the liberty to use Newton Police Department phone number just so we can, you're not in the program yet, you're welcome to if you're in it, keep all the shirts you want. But the way it works is about 3 sheets down from the flyer you have there, there's an enrollment form. Okay, and we have an enrollment form that we actually modeled after Project Lifesaver. And there's 4 crucial things that the families do. The families can enroll in the police department, they can enroll online. The first thing they do, whether it's a child or a senior, they include a recent photograph of their family member, recent photograph. Second thing is they include the caregiver information. If it's a parent, the cell phone numbers work otherwise. If it's a spouse or something like that, the cell phone information for the caregiver or the parent. The third is if there's any acute medical conditions, such as a diabetes or something like that we should know about. And then the fourth is something that I'm very proud of. I actually kind of got it from Project Lifesaver. But the parent says, look, when you approach my child, whether he's verbal or nonverbal, this is what you say to him to keep him calm so he understands you're there to help him. Or if you approach grandpa, this is what you say to him. They assign an ID number to that individual. So you assign a Safely Back Home ID number, and that file is put into the database with the police department. It's a secure database. Some departments have begun just with hard copies, which is fine as well. Then what we do is we have families bring, this is the way we're doing it right now, we have families bringing 3 items of clothing that either the child or the senior is already comfortable wearing. It could be a winter coat in the winter, it could be a shirt, it could be pants, it could be a bathing suit, it could be a backpack. We use an imprint. It's taken me a while to find this material, but it's an imprint that's very soft. The kids with autism will not scratch at it. It doesn't bother them, and it's permanent, it's washproof. And what we do is we imprint, we collect the garments, 3 garments. We do 3 garments for free. I'm covering the cost on doing that. And then we pick up the garments 1 week, and we imprint them. If you look at the shirt, what it says is, it says Safely Back Home. It says, if I appear lost, please call. That phone number would be the Newton Police Department phone number. Let's just stay with that. The Newton Police phone number and the ID number that they assign to the program. Now, when that kid or senior is wandering anywhere, I kind of like to use, for right now, over in, what's our mall up here? I just forgot. Rockaway Mall. Yeah, Rockaway Mall. I like to use that example. Say I'm the guy wandering. I'm wandering Rockaway Mall. Whether I'm a senior or I'm a kid, and I'm lost. And I'm registered here in Newton. Somehow I got to Rockaway Mall. We don't pretend that everybody's going to want to help me, even though they can tell that I'm disoriented. My thought is if there's 100 people that see me, 85 of us are going to mind our own business. Just normal. Don't want to get involved. That person, somebody's going to take care of that guy or that kid. It's a kid, maybe more, but 85 of us will just mind our own business. Police have told me that there's probably 1 to 3% who are there from criminal intent to begin with. They're in the mall looking for victims, okay? That 1 or 2%, if they see somebody vulnerable, they may try and go, and if it's a senior, bring them over to a ATM machine or something like that. If it's a kid, even worse. And then there's a 10%, say, call them Good Samaritans, who will want to help me. And they'll approach me. And when they approach me, they'll see, we can have the imprint wherever the families want, but they'll say, see, if I appear lost, please call. And they don't have to be right on top of me. They'll call, they'll get the Newton dispatcher. The Newton dispatcher will take the call. The person will say, this guy's wearing a shirt. He has an ID number. The dispatcher accesses the file through that ID number, sees where the call's coming in from, or speaks to the person who's making the call. and then is able to forward that file electronically as an email to the Rockaway Police Department. That police department then can forward that file to the patrol car that's closest to where the call originated. And that officer is able to see on his monitor or on his cell phone the photograph of me, my contact people, and also what to say to me to keep me calm. He goes, he makes the rescue, I'm reunited. That's basically how it works. That's how the program works. This is what police departments have told me. Are we at 10 minutes?
You were past 10 minutes.
Where am I right now, please?
You're at 14.
Real quick. This is what police, because I want to play the most recent police department, Rutherford. This is what police departments have told me so far. They like the program because if they find someone who's lost, who has no ID, can't say who they are, usually it takes many hours to figure out who they are. If they're wearing a garment, they immediately are able to identify who that person is and who their caregivers are. Second part, which I had no idea about but I learned, was sometimes when you're trying to, you're approaching someone who's a bigger person maybe, and they're lost, and they're not responding in a normal mode. They're either being aggressive, you're giving them simple directions, and they're not responding properly. Any person would think this guy is on drugs, something's wrong, he's drinking. If they have this imprint on them, it at least explains there's some sort of issue for the police departments. This is what has been shared with me. And the last thing is, even if they're not wearing a shirt, they're in the database. And what happened in North Arlington was conveyed to me not long ago. A 5-year-old kid had broke away, was in a park. The officers found him. He wasn't wearing a shirt. But when they brought him to the department, he was already in the database. They knew who he was, and they were able to reunite him right away. So even if they're not wearing the shirt, it helps. The way it's set up is pretty much standard. The enrollment form, you can customize it any way you want. What we're trying to do is with the kids, for back to school is the best time for me to speak to the parents. So we're trying, wherever we can, to get programs up and going. If we can by that time in September, October, great. If not, whenever we can. But that's when all the parents are together with special needs. Had great cooperation from the superintendents, from the people who run the special needs programs in the schools. They're all on board with it. And so they send home flyers and that kind of thing, email, and then I just speak to them, the parents. With the seniors, we're doing it through senior centers, senior organizations, and a lot of seniors have told me, even they don't have Alzheimer's or autism, they want the program because they're worried about falling and blacking out. And when they fall and black out from the hip or diabetes, we have no way of being able to tell them who they are or how to help them. The data file can have all the medical information. Real quick, anyone with type 1 diabetes or severe allergies, the same thing. If they're worried about going into a coma, they can wear a garment similar to this. It doesn't say if I appear lost, but it'll have their information in a simple phone call or even a QR code. I'm not going to go into that. We can scan and has all the information that if I have diabetes 1, this is what I want you to know if I black out, how to help me. All right, just to wrap up, could you please show this? The last one we did was June 11th in Rutherford. We launched it and the special needs community came together. The chief there, his name is John Russo, and a couple weeks ago he recorded some comments about the program. Yesterday we met with New Milford chief who also did it. And I'd just like to share this with you because it's pretty much self-explanatory.